Hi there, in this video we cover everything you need and wanted to know that you didn't know that you needed and wanted to know. It's a lot of fun. You're gonna love it.
Oh, it's so good to see you, Daryl, and connect. It's always a pleasure to be with you. I know you've been going through stuff, and I've been going through stuff. So, yay, here we are.
Here we are, and everything's working for us. So I, I know that as difficult as times get, the difficulties are opportunities. Eh,
Yeah. See, I
yeah.
got I got real sick, right? And it was mostly due to biofilm, which was just a layer of junk on my gut. So I
Mhm.
cleared that out, which was literally letting go. And then I let go of some stuff in my closet. I was like, I'm tired of all this junk. I just threw it out. And then as soon as I did that, a lot of the problems I've been having, people showed up and said, Here, let me help you with it, and gave me knowledge I didn't have and help I didn't have. And it was like just going through the action of letting go. Like you say, I thought being sick was a pain in the ass, but no, the universe was working for me. So I'm
Yeah.
just so grateful.
Yeah. Excellent. Um, well, I think today's going to be a fun one. Okay. So, like I like to have fun with these, and so I like to kind of like push you. So the first thing that I thought would be fun is for you to bring in raw because I've never heard of you bringing in raw before, and
So I have not brought in Ra before. So are you talking about the Egyptian god Ra or the Ra that wrote the Law of One, or are they one and the same? And I just
they
haven't
are
connected
one
with
and the
them.
same, and we're
All
going to get
right.
into that.
Okay.
We're going to
Good.
go into that.
Good. I just needed to check on the vibration so I can
Yeah.
find the right one.
Yeah.
So, hello, Daryl. This is Rob. Peter has connected with me. What is it that we can do for you, dear soul?
Well, this is going to be fun because what Peter doesn't know is that I am raw. And let me explain that. A thread of my fabric consciousness is part of the raw collective consciousness. And I've known that because during my very first activation, three different psychics came up to me and said, Raw's in the room. And they didn't even know who Raw was, but I did because I read the Law of One and I have a photographic memory about the Law of One, and everything is so familiar to me. So when I heard that, it's like, oh, I'm really connected to Raw. And then, as you know, if you're one part of the collective consciousness, you are the collective consciousness because they're all connected. And not only that, but the material of the Law One book is just so familiar to me. I just pick it. I have like photographic memory for it. And when I was in the sarcophagus of the King's Chamber, what with Archangel Zadkiel and St. Germain, once I lie down into the sarcophagus, because I didn't know what the hell I was going to do to bring in the seventh violet ray, instantly what came out of my mouth was raw for about 3 straight minutes in the longest, loudest version that actually shook the pyramid. And then I saw the violet seventh violet ray come down. So I really know um, I can't say that I am raw because that sounds funky, even though that's a play on word because that's what they say in their book all the time. But my original signature vibration, Aareakh, has incarnated into the Raw Collective, among other galactic species. But I definitely remember that incarnation or get that vibe where I've incarnated into the Raw Collective consciousness. So, um, so with that background, does Raw want to say something to me? Um,
First, we want to give clarity
yeah.
and then speak to what this means to Peter. Then we will speak to you and your audience, Daryl.
Okay. All right.
So, one of the things that is greatly misunderstood about incarnation on Earth is many people believe there's a linear process. You're this soul, you die, and you come back as this soul. And that is not the case at all. each time you incarnate, you create a not a new soul, but let's call it an aspect of the soul that is still there and is still you and adds to the collective consciousness. However, the oversoul, that is the one choosing these incarnations, if you can imagine the analogy of going to an auto parts store or a junkyard where all the other cars were there. And then you go, ooh, I like the seats of this car. Ooh, I like the bumper on that car. Ooh, I want this supercharged cam over here. And you put it all together. That is how you create the soul, or excuse me, the incarnation and the new soul that emerges in your earth plane. Now that you understand this a little more clearly, then it's easier to say that, yes, you were always with us. We were always with you because of the oneness. And you just went into the shop and said, I'm going to bring some bra in with me. And that is how you opened up into this. Many people who sit there and they most relate to Christ because Christ is such a powerful figure within the cultures of your planet here. Many people say, I am the Christ, or I am the Napoleon, or I am this or that. You are, but you aren't. You drew an aspect of that consciousness in with you to create and learn and grow and heal. So we wish to say that. Second, we
It's
wish to clarify what just went on with Peter. Peter was also in the king's chamber. He did not get in the sarcophagus. He leaned against it because he was just tired in there. And in your speaking of your sounding and your explanation, we were able to give that violet ray to him. So this was kind of like a relaxed, or not relaxed, what is it? He uses the word, we don't have the word that we have to use his word. He uses the word delayed blast. The seed was planted and now it was activated. And this happens with so many of you who do so many beautiful things. You don't realize that it's many years later that it comes to fruition. So the Peter entity wishes to give gratitude to you, Daryl, and of course to the connection it has with me now, Ra, for this. So now, in your message, two parts. Part one, you are such a, how do you say it in your parlance, tease? We do not operate with those kinds of energies and emotions. You come to somebody knowing you already are them and then say, okay, now channel. You are just teasing. And this is your nature. You are like the sprite, the imp, and this is beautiful. So this is very fun. We don't operate at that kind of level of humor that you do, but we do see the beauty of what you did here. Now, as far as your message, dearest Daryl, the connection you have is what you're bringing to Earth. You see, you have not fully been cognizant of what do you call it, glue, bridge, how it is that you connect the disparate aspects of all that is into the individuals on the planet so that they can then move freely in that expanded zone of consciousness. So now that you bring forth your awareness and ability of the raw connection, the consciousness here, you're now opening up a bridge. We hope many, many, many people read and understand. And you can always ask, right? The channelings are opening. Peter can channel, you can channel, many can channel. You can always ask if you need clarity because we understand this material, as you would say, is dense. Okay. And it's dense for a reason because it is not written for 3D or 4D or 5 or 6. It is written for the higher dimensions. Peter is stunned because he's wanting to say 9, but we're saying no, even higher than that. Okay. And so it's set to do two things for you. One is activation. That is, you hear these things, they are mysterious and they're just so far out there, and you go, what? I don't understand it. But in the process of trying to commune with it and understand it, then you become more in tune and learn about it. Okay, so that was our intent all along. We did this quite intentionally because at the first go around when we were here, uh, we made the mistake of trying to intervene actively. And that became what you would call gods, the god Ra, and that became the whole worship culture, and that set humanity back. It did. And that was on us. And this is one way we are not intervening, but we are putting it out there for those who seek. Now, what is your role in all of this? Your role is you trigger a physical visceral response that opens people up to greater understanding of these. If you ever were to do even a study group or a discussion like you're doing now about some of that material, just people attending are going to pick it up, not in the understanding 3D level, but on a deeper level that will be activated just like you were activated in the sarcophagus. And now Peter was activated much later simply by hearing about it because he had happened to be there in that energy. And now we had the connection, and therefore we can bring it to fruition. So, this is what we wish to say to you, Daryl. Uh, Go out there and continue to do what you do, understanding that you are the glue, you are the bridge, and that your presence activates this esoteric knowledge in a way that is not going to be with words, but it's a way that's going to be much deeper and more profound for souls who are transforming into higher realms.
Excellent, thank you. So help me explain to Peter and everyone who's listening here what the seventh violet ray is. So what I know is that it came in through my crown chakra, and it was like the quantum field, and it's kind of like divine information, and it just came in through my crown chakra, violet, seventh ray, um, and I also got something that it mixed with my green heart chakra. But maybe I'm digressing there. But can you explain for whoever's listening what the seventh violet ray does for humanity?
So, Peter is trying to provide the words for this, and he's like, we're going to let him speak for a moment so that he can start to get more in tune with the energy of what we wish to say. Now, this, what you're going to hear now, it's not what we wish to say, but it's the best Peter can approximate in the moment. Then we will speak.
Okay.
And this is Peter talking now, and that's because, uh, you know, my abilities to channel are limited to my vocabulary. And so when I hear concepts, I don't know what that is. I'm still blocked to be able to just speak it. All right. So that's me. And the second thing is I get the sense, the energetic sense of, oh, you silly humans, you so love to categorize. You got all the rays and you number them and you color them and everything. And there's 12 and this activates and it corresponds to your DNA. So let's keep it simple. The simple part is, where is it? All right, where is that? Okay, that is where your pineal is, right? That is where the violet ray is, okay. And that was where, especially this is more indigo, but then as you move up into the chakra before your crown, it gets to be more violet, which is why there are 12 rays and not just seven. Okay.
Yeah.
And so what you're doing is you're activating those abilities. So what happened for you, and this is Ra talking now, what happened for you, Daryl, was it was an opening activation. Quite simply, you went into the auto shop. What is the thing Peter has it called? He poured some STP in to clear out the gunk and all the valves. Then you put some nitro in so you can burn and supercharge. And now you are where you're at. And this was all part of a process. It was not just this one moment, and it was not just us, but it was you coming home to the realization that you are this expansive consciousness, and your role on the planet is to provide all the uh, what did we say earlier? Glue, catalyst, better word, for more people moving to this. And we wish to say that although we would not use the Peter words that came out explaining it, it is correct in its essence. It is this area that's activated, which is that inner seeing, which is the pineal, but not quite the pineal because it's the bridge between here and your crown chakra, which sits above you. It's actually right here, almost on the scalp chakra. And that's why it's violet and not indigo and not white. It's the blend of the two colors. And that is the opening. And many people can understand, they can open up their chakra on the crown, they can feel like sunlight and divine light come and pour into them. But this layer that was activated for you, the violet ray, is again bridging. How do you get from this big supercharged funnel of divine, pure spirit, light energy into a human being, in through the pineal, in through the whole emotional, etheric, energetic systems? And that is what that ray is about, is bridging, activating. It's more, if you just want to go seven with your chakras, it's more like 7.5 or 8, but it's not, it's not really the crown yet. So we
Mhm.
hope this helps bring more clarity to this.
It does, thank you. And it just kind of reminds me, I want to say that whenever I activate people with the seven file array or other activations, I really do it through my vibration and frequency. It's really in level that people don't know from the human senses. However, I do like to talk to people about it or show them or do hand moves because that helps the human people absorb it better. Just like Peter, when he heard the story, that's what triggered and it got him to do it. But I want to say that most of the activations I give and other people give, it's really by our vibration, which is not seen or acknowledged, but it's really, I get that our vibration is the activations that we can seed and help activate people with.
So
Can you come?
this is correct. And what we want to do is carry it one step further. Because you are just here and you make your video sessions public, so these help many people. So anybody watching it, because you are just here, will start to feel it subtly. However, there is the power, the amplitude, the focus of intent. So we wish to make that a two-part proposition for those listening and for you, Daryl. For those listening, can you in this moment open up? And you just do that by one, relaxing, breathe. Two, saying, yeah, I kind of sense something's here. Whether you feel it or not is unimportant. Just know that it's a presence and maybe you sense it, maybe you don't. And then allow it. I welcome it in. That's all you need to do. Peter didn't even know that he was going to get this violet ray activation 4 years after he leaned up against the sarcophagus. All right. You don't even need to know you're going to get it. You just can focus it and allow it more by saying, okay, this energy is present. That is half of the equation. The other half is you, Daryl. Uh, Okay, you just told everybody you're here. You're part of Ra. You're speaking of it. You know that your presence is activating. Can you, in this moment, and it does not need to be extensive or long, can you, in this moment, use your intent, use your symbols, your mudras that you just explained to make it more human, and let's really turn up the volume at this moment.
Yes. With joy and fun, because that's all this is about.
Oh, oh.
So much fun. Okay, well, we
Yes. So
still
now
have.
this has not just been words. This has been energetics, which it has always been. But that little brief moment, uh, we will comment on the state that the Peter vessel is in, and he just went up another octave, and things are happening in his internal organs, and he's, what do you say, uh, more spaced, and this is good because it's going to open up his channeling abilities. And he just felt that in the moment. We want to comment. Those of you who are attending to this, just do not necessarily take an inventory. Just be aware. We were mostly laughing. We were mostly just being there. But did you catch anything? Put your focus on it, and that turns it up even more.
Exactly. Terrific. And while we have Raw on here, see, I want to explain to everyone watching here that out of all the channels and all the books that I've ever read, Raw describes densities in the best ways. Raw describes the seven densities in a way that provides the human brain with a clear understanding of what density of consciousness is. Um, and and I recommend that everyone listening to this read the Law of One book. But I am going to talk about in the seventh density, they present it as layers of consciousness, but then they present it in a way that our human minds can understand it because they present it in a linear way that you got to go through density one before you go to density two, density three. They even go through how many years, millions or billions it takes for every different level, and every different level is a different amount of time. But what I'm getting is that they did that so that the human can understand the linear mind, because that's how the humans think is linear. But reality is beings do not really follow a linear form because there is no time. So you can go from, so this is the question, you can go from density 5 to density 2 to density 7. I mean, it's all out of sequence because there is no time, but they present it in the book as if there were time. So is that correct?
So let us address this in two ways,
Okay.
please. The overarching idea of your question is we, as a non-corporeal being who does not know time, had to explain things to corporeal beings
Yeah.
who are limited by their understanding and what they call their place in time. So we did this by setting up a hierarchy. Two things we wish to say to directly answer your question. First of all, there's not seven levels. Levels are arbitrary distinctions between fields. And guess what? There's more than seven.
Well,
So
I
if
would
you,
say it's infinite, right? Because everything is infinite. The number of everything is infinite, right?
yes, when you get to seven, you'll be so far along that you'll look at things about as if, it's like talking to it's like how do you communicate to an ant? Okay. So when you get to seven, you're not going to be able to communicate with these things anymore. But guess what? You're going to look up and you're going to see all kinds of other beings that are in levels that you would used to call higher, but now just see as different octaves.
Yeah.
So it's going to be more expansive. So
Yeah.
that's the first part of this that we wish to say. There's not really seven, it's more, but seven helps you understand.
Okay.
The second part is so the tendency of the human, because of the linearity of both the numbers and the presentation, is that, oh, I'm one, then I go to two, right? And then if you don't stay at two, oh, I backslid,
Yeah.
right? And it's not like that at all. You are multidimensional, just like the dimensions are multidimensional. So in one moment, you can have a sensation of five, that tingling. Oh, I feel something here, but you have no words for it or anything. So you try to grapple with it with a three.
Yeah.
And so both of them are present. So it's not like it's linear and it's not like you go from one to the other. They're all available, and at different times you access many parts of it. But because you don't have the awareness of these parts being greater than you, greater is a limited word, but there's no other word that can make it in this vocabulary.
Yeah.
Then you try to say, oh, well, I'm at this level. Oh, no, I'm back at that one. No, you're just accessing and you're starting to bring online the different skills, the different awareness. So if you could imagine a spectrum of energy, let us say you have your FM radio band and you dial into one station that is at 97. The station that is 108 is still there, but you're not dialed into it. Now, can you imagine a radio receiver that receives 97 while at the same time receiving 108? And both stations are coming through. And that is the awareness of when you sense, oh, there's something, you use the word greater, something greater going on here. And this is what you do not yet understand as a human collective, is that your ability to receive, your tuner, so to speak, is across the entire band and it perceives the entire band at once. It is the brain functioning, the mind, especially the lower mind, that has to make sense of it. So it looks at something and doesn't see the other things. And yet it is all there. This happens quite often. You're so focused to see something and it could be right in front of you, but you do not see it. Then you find it and you go, how did I not see this before? Because you were so focused in looking that you were not in the ability to see what was actually in the field because the mind was busy looking. I know this doesn't answer your question and maybe makes it more confusing, but this is the nature of what you speak to.
Yeah. No, I get the vibration of it, and I agree. um, this is a very interesting time because this is the harvest time. And although many people don't like that word, I know that's a raw word because harvest is the best way to describe it because it's the graduation. It's the time where souls are ripe to raise from the third density into the fourth density. That's the term harvest that was coined by Ra in the Law of One books. And we are at that harvest time right now. We are at that beautiful time of ascension from third density into fourth densities. Humans are starting to have this beautiful harvest time. The past harvests on Earth were very, very small, but this is the time when we have the great, beautiful harvest that's been foretold for eons and eons. So um, and there's much talk right now about disclosures and ETs. So does Raw want to say something about the great harvests that we're upon, which is a graduation, a ripening of souls to ascend? It's a beautiful subject. So does Raw want to say something about that?
Yes, thank you. First of all, we wish to apologize for the use of the word harvest.
Yeah,
At the time that the messages in the raw material were being presented, that was what best connected with those who were trying to receive it. And it goes with all your stories of your lineages, especially your Bible stories of separating the chaff from the wheat and all that stuff. So that is why the word harvest came out. But I think you used a better word, ripening.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Because what it is so many more. In the past, the tree was not nurtured. It was lacking nutrients. It was lacking water. So maybe there would be a piece of fruit. Maybe some seasons none came out. Maybe it was just a few other seasons. This year, this cycle of humanity, this is exactly as you foretold. The tree is full of fruit. A tree that used to bear only half dozen edible pieces now
Yes.
bears thousands.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
this is where you are. Now, we like the word ripening better because it involves volition. You
Mhm.
see, harvest means somebody external picks. And this is what you have been in your myth, the chosen, God's people,
Yeah,
that stuff. And that is set you back.
yeah,
Now you're understanding I am this beautiful piece of fruit. Do I want to stay on this tree? Do I want to fall to the ground and rot? Do I
yeah,
want to go and be something better? And that
yeah,
be something better. This is Peter talking now because I keep saying, oh, I'm going to be a smoothie. No, I'm going to be eaten by a bird and carried over here and plant my seeds on this planet. Okay, back to raw. Okay,
yeah,
so you get to choose as a ripening
yeah,
what it is you become. And we just gave the analogy of one tree, but Earth is so vast. There is potential
yeah.
for all. There is potential for all. Now, because of free will, all will not choose. You
Mhm,
always have what is the math symbol, the bell curve. You have
mhm.
the tail ends, and those tail ends will go in different directions and not necessarily, but the mass will. So
Yeah,
some souls make the mistake of saying, oh, we're all going to go. And this actually works against you because those who have been trying to keep you on the slow path, use your guilt. Oh, you need to wait. You don't have enough in you. But you do not understand that it is you moving to this place of being ripe that then uplifts many, many more through the subtle fields, just as Daryl uplifted many, many more through his activation by just being present, right? It is
yeah,
not the gross numbers that is important. It is the height, the expansiveness of those among the numbers. And then that turns into the gross number because those with the expansiveness bring like a boat with a wake. The bigger your wake, the more that gets to follow and come through it. So this is what humanity is doing, and it is a model for the universe.
yeah.
Uh, most planets have gone through ascension, but it took them multitudes of years and generations. Never before, in a span of just a few generations, will the majority of a planet, the overwhelming majority of a planet, move into this expansive state. Now, this is not just like, oh, lucky human, I got to be born here and now I get to all these goodies and stuff. Peter always uses the analogy of how good his cats have it. They get fed, they get pet, they get to run around and play. Okay. So It's not like that, human. It's not like you're being kept by pets or as pets by those above you. No, indeed, it was you making the conscious choice to incarnate at this time. You making the choice of saying, I am part of this group, this vast collection of souls that is going to move higher density into a form of physicality. That is what the whole Earth experiment is about. Your 4D, as you say it, you've seen masters who can create gems or create water into wine. You've seen that. It's in your culture.
Yeah.
Now, when we all get there, what kind of reality will that be? And this is what it's going to be, not just a few way showers like it's been in your past, but a whole planet full of people. Now, of course, you haven't got there yet because many of you are still afraid of your power. Many of you are afraid, oh, what will bad people do with that power? Well, what we wish to say is that people you call bad, and they're not, they're just in the different polarity on the spectrum of what it is to be an incarnate soul. Uh, those people are already using their powers. Now, if you choose
Yeah.
to use your powers, and the reason you're not doing it yet is because you still have not understood the totality of humanity is not just your conscious thought, but your unconscious and your emotional body and your energetic body. And as those become clearer and come into alignment, then you naturally do what is in service. We speak in depth in our material on those in service to self versus those in service to others. And that is the ultimate choice. When we were talking about those in service to self, those who have been using their powers to manipulate and control, that is going to begin like the bell curve we told you. It's going to become less and less until they're just the tail end of society, and the rest of your society has advanced far enough that it just does not affect them. It bounces off because there's no resonant connection anymore. So that is where you're headed. And that's why you have not headed there all at once, because many of you would choose unconsciously to create more turmoil because that's what you do. Look at your entertainment, look at your literature, how much of it is turmoil and conflict, and you call it relaxation. And so that is where humanity is headed. And it is a setting example for all, all of creation on how this model will work, bringing worlds that are no longer in these higher densities exclusively, but are in a higher density, but also in a form of physicality, as you would say it, best of both worlds.
Excellent. Beautiful. So right now on Earth, there's a lot of talk about disclosure and open contact and ETs, and I understand how that's fitting into raising human consciousness. But it actually triggers a brief conversation I want to have, which is that aren't every different species that come to Earth that helps out Earthlings, um, angels, um, so all the different non-physical, aren't they all ETs? Because by definition, ET means not of this earth. So even things that were born on this earth were once not of this earth. So basically everything is basically an ET. It's just that we humans use the language to segregate and to separate of of a stereotype, but isn't everything, all the different helps, the different consciousness that are helping us on Earth, aren't they really basically all ETs, or is there a reason to segregate angels different than ETs? Although I do know that a lot of what humans call angels or saints were really ETs, but does that kind of make sense as a question?
Short answer, yes, you are correct. More explanation.
Yeah.
The first barrier or division is what you would call human versus non-human. And you're understanding that that is totally inadequate because your elements of consciousness are the same as their elements of consciousness. And even your pets have the same consciousness, and that they're still like not human. Okay. So you start to see that that barrier is falling away. And this is what is so beautiful about the rise of people who are connecting with their animals and their pets. What is it? Peter wishes to interject that there's a ton of research showing that if you have a dog or a cat, you live longer. So, all right. So, first of all, you're understanding that with your animal communication.
Yeah.
Now, the next part of this is because you live on a physical planet, you tend to think of those who are planet bound, or at least were planet bound at one time, as ETs. And there are those that come from planets, just like there are those that come from not planets, dimensions, energetic spaces.
Hmm.
Now, because of your understanding, humanity, when they first encountered that which was more than what they were used to, not more than them, just simply different, but more than what they were used to, you had to put it in an understanding framework. And that understanding framework was of Earth, not of Earth. Now, those who do religious workings tended to always understand that God, deity, was not of Earth. So, but you wanted to dress it up in your human explanation, heaven, heavenly hosts. And so, depending upon which Bible you read, you get all the way back to the angels or the cherubs or the Elohim. And there's
Hmm.
many, many more of those who are fallen because they're bad ones. So we call them Satan. All right, so you get to many, many divisions. The primary distinction is there are beings of density, or excuse me, expanded density, that were never physically incarnate on this or any other planet. Now, some of those beings, just like some of the beings that were used to be on a planet, but because their consciousness is great enough, they can expand and move. Do you think that somebody physically moves from your Alpha Centauri to here? No, they do it through consciousness. They do it through a projection. They do it through an expanded sense of dimensionality so that they're here and there, or they're
Yeah.
here but not here. Okay, you do not allow for that yet. So your convenient categories are ET or heavenly host or angelic realm. The more useful distinction, if you wish to make distinction, and we do not, is those who were at one point in a density similar to you on a what you would call a planet versus those who are always just energetic beings.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right. And that is the better way to understand this. And then if you go even further, you're going to see that different different realms brought consciousness to the Earth experiment. Some of you call it, oh, the Anunnaki seeded us, or this manipulated with our DNA. And that is an aspect, a facet of the Merid diamond. Much consciousness, both incarnate and dimensional, moved together to say, well, let us do this. And we created the vessels of humanity. Now, some of it was already created, but again, there were other groups that created that. But in your natural evolution thing, you'd say, okay, here's the entities on a planet. How can we make them more able to host a soul? And in that hosting of souls, then there was the ability for different people from different realms to come in. Some people were angels. Peter's wife, he's aware of this, so he will interject this, can channel like Saint Brigitte, who was both a saint and an angel. Okay,
Hmm.
so not all angels choose the incarnation, but some can. You know, you, Daryl, are an example, though this is one of your early incarnations as a physicality. You've been a collective, many parts of other collectives. All right, dragons, yet here you are human.
Yeah.
Okay, now some dragons were dragon collective, and yet in older ages were physically on the planet. So the distinctions get very messy when you start looking at who's this realm and the tendencies to categorize
Hmm.
and to analyze, because that is what humans love to do, just like your layers and rays and species and derivations and origins and lineage. Okay, and it's all beautiful. And the biggest one to understand is that it's all expanded. You are expanded. You are not of Earth. Earth was not its own self-generating creation. Earth was an aspect of source that generated and expressed as the Gaia entity, who then allowed and welcomed in all the other consciousnesses that wanted to play to create flowers, to create bees, to create rabbits, to create humans. And then those creations became hosts for their own forms of consciousness. And those own forms of consciousness came from far and wide across your known space and your unknown dimensions. And this becomes the beautiful mix of humanity. On the universal, not the correct word, galactic, not the correct word, on that scale, there are very few free will planets. Planets where anyone can come and express without following the rules of what was set up to be. Now, on your planet, what was set up to be was physics. Those rules apply until you move to your understanding where you can enter the quantum realm and use consciousness to change that. But before that, what rule you had was physics.
Mhm.
Beyond that, all the consciousness that came had no rules of what it was
Yeah.
supposed to do or why it was supposed to do it. This then created the opportunity for many, many people to experience many, many different paths. Why? You asked about the harvest earlier, because it was understood that this situation would give us the fast track for the largest harvest. Other planets that are more regulated in their rules, when you can still get the physical experiences, but they're much slower and the yields are much lower on what can come into these higher levels of ascension. So we know we are going far afield of your original question, but you understand when you asked it that the original question was just a nice way for the mind to deal with something infinite. And when you look at it in those terms, you can have a good laugh about it.
Yes, yes. Oh, I'm gonna just jump in here and say that, okay, because we have Raw. So Raw came in there with these great intentions of helping humanity and giving it wisdom. And then, of course, what the humans do is that they make Raw into a god, right? We Raw, they make it into the god because humans like that's their terminology for a expansive light being, um, and they turn Raw into a god. So I think something like that happens all the time. I think that when a extraterrestrial or a being comes to Earth, we label it as things that we can label it. In that case, they say, "Oh, it's a god." So that's how the Egyptians. So also in there though, the Egyptians made interactions with other entities like Isis and Osiris interacting with Ra. Was that all? Was there some kind of interaction between Ra and a being called Isis and Osiris, or was that all humans making myths together? When was there a connection there? Although I understand that human language is going to foul everything up because they're going to label things. But can you talk about that?
We will. First, we wish to expand further on what Peter confessed earlier when he said he has to take these energies through the vocabulary he already knows. Humans had to take their meetings with great consciousnesses, expanded consciousness, through forms they already knew. Easiest one, magic, you're a god.
Yeah,
And hence all of that
yeah.
came. So that is just a very simple explanation of what you are correctly identifying. Now, as far as terms of interaction, many, many what you would call species,
Hmm.
or perhaps soul groups,
Hmm.
or perhaps planetary collectives,
Hmm.
or perhaps even dimension collectives
Hmm.
were all together during similar periods of time. You
Hmm.
know how the bearded gods, and you see them even though they are known mostly as Anunnaki and are in your Sumeria,
Yes.
you can still find temples in Egypt where the statues show that.
Hmm.
What we wish to speak to right now are the Hathors,
Yeah.
in that they are a collective very different from what you and I experience. And they also have a planetary route very, very far back.
Hmm.
And they bring with it all the beautiful teachings they brought. uh,
Hmm.
particularly the sound healings. You can go look in your Egyptian temples on the aroma and the oil healings, and those come from other different lineages. This is
Hmm.
the beauty of the mixture of all of this coming together. Now,
Yes.
specifically to Orion and Isis, they are very close to the energetic density grouping of what is talking to you now, Ra. They're very close, but they are not individually, specifically part of this. Now, do we all get along? Absolutely. Why? Because we all come in with the same intent, which was how do we help humanity? Because this was our creation, just like trying to raise a child. We were part of the group that was here when Earth was seeded.
Yes.
Yes. Now, uh, so we all got together. Did we make mistakes? Absolutely. You've heard those. We talked about how we did not understand that we would be put in the position of gods, right? I think yours, what is it, Peter's sifting? We're sifting through Peter's memory, your Star Trek series, the Prime Directive.
Yes.
That is a beautiful explanation of that teaching. Do not interfere with the planet or our culture. And it's hard. It's like, for instance, can you do the prime directive with your child?
Hmm.
Can you not interfere when you know that they're getting ready to crash and burn?
Yeah.
And so this
Yeah.
is the whole thing. And Peter wants to use the word guilty, but we are not going to allow him. We did that and we own that and we understand that it created repercussions.
Mhm.
Now, your original question. Isis, Ra, Osiris.
Yeah.
Because we were very close, we became represented in almost the same ways and
Mhm.
have the same action. We are at the what you would call the same time being present. You
Yes.
see this, however, when we're depicted in the hieroglyphs. And
Hmm.
you'll notice that each god is shown with a different animal head. And that is to represent the distinction. And again, why animals? Because it was the closest analogy a human could make to what they were seeing or feeling. Does this help answer your question?
Yes. Yes. I get the vibration, and it all makes sense. But okay, what is this gonna? Raw exists where there is no linear time. So didn't they know that that would have that result? So
Daryl, your question is beautiful in that you're using linear time to describe not having linear time. Didn't they know this was going to happen? That would imply linear time.
time, yeah,
So imagine you are standing on what you call your Grand Canyon.
yeah,
Okay. So you're on the edge of an amazing, amazing abyss. And it goes as far as you can see. And it's so wide that there are plateaus and ecosystems and climates and rivers and streams and animals, all of it. Okay.
yeah.
Didn't we know that all of it was there? No. We only knew what our focus could see at the time. So
Ah,
what did we
yeah,
do?
that
We
makes sense.
we followed the river because it was the biggest marker of distinguishing land from, water. And so we followed the river. And even the river broke off into channels and flowed this way and that way. If you have been on your Grand Canyon, you understand that.
Yeah,
So, of course, we knew. But we didn't have a clue, using your parlance,
yeah,
because it was so vast. We looked at all of it. And this is something that humanity does with brilliance. Because they have a desire, they tend to see the outcome they desire.
yeah,
So all of it is in front of you, but your hopes lead you to what you wish. Now, does it create that way? Well, that depends on what you bring to it in the whole situation. What energies are you holding and things? And you are learning that so as you can move ahead in your densities. We are also learning it, even though our perspective is bigger. If you want to use this analogy, and it is not totally correct, we're at the lip of the Grand Canyon and can see across the vista all the way to the horizon. You are in the canyon and you can maybe see several hundred feet, half a mile up the wall or this direction or that direction. All right. So you're learning to get a bigger perspective, but even with that bigger perspective, you still focus on what you desire, and therefore you're limited in what you can perceive, and therefore it changes what you can manifest in your reality. And we tried to manifest what we thought was uplift, when in fact it was a whole system of worship.
Beautiful. It makes sense. I got the clarity that you just downloaded to me. Excellent. We're running close to the end of the hour, so I wanted to also take the opportunity to bring in the dragons because I know they've been waiting.
First, Ra wishes to say thank you.
Oh,
In this vessel, Peter's going to need a moment because he was not used to our energies and it was a whole experience. So let him take a breath or two before anything else happens.
all righty. I'm sending you some energy and joy,
Okay.
bud.
All right. All right. This is Peter. I'm a little foggy here, Daryl. I did not expect any of this, and wow.
All
But
fun, all fun.
from a personal point of view, it's kind of cool because one is you always test me during these calls because I have no idea where you want to go. And I'm always thinking, oh, can I do that? And for the most part, I do. Sometimes I just like, crash and burn, but welcome to humanity. And so it's beautiful. But boy, Ra, what a frequency, what an octave to hold. Now it's like, okay, more expanded. And this is the beauty because we're all headed there. You're all going to be able to connect with anybody
Yeah.
once you understand the technique of getting into the oneness field and putting your focus there, similar to what Ra was saying about looking at the vista of the Grand Canyon. The the trick is to one, get to the place where you can see that far out. You don't have to see all of it yet because you just have to know it's there. And then you have to understand the resonance of the energies to bring your focus to it. That's how you channel all these different entities or hide to it. Okay. And Ra's easy. I got a t-shirt with the eye of Ra on it. So that's what I thought. I was thinking about that t-shirt and boom, I was in the energy.
Yeah.
All right, dragon time.
Dragon die.
I almost wore my dragon bolo tie, but I settled for the dragonfly, the smaller
Ah,
version.
yep. I can talk about that some other time, but yes, I know the reference. Let's bring in the dragons.
We welcome you, Daryl. Thank you for this opportunity to connect and be. We like to play, and you know that this is the most fun play because of the resonance of who you are. Yes, you are beautifully raw, but we know we're dragons. We know that this is the good stuff, that you are beautifully as well.
Yeah. So this is like a recent download and confirmation that I got because we talked about the 5 resets on Earth, and we talked about how the second reset was the throne or the heyday of the dragons. This is the new epiphany that I got was, and confirmation was that second reset was the time of the dragons, but it was really the time of the dinosaurs, that dragons were existing at the time of the dinosaurs, and they were basically the elevated consciousness forms of the dinosaurs. So that's the era of what we call the era of the dinosaurs was really the era of the dragons, and when the dragons ascended to a higher density and left us humans to do our ascending, subsequently. But so does dragons want to say anything about that? I mean, I thought that was really, really cool.
So, this is Peter before I bring the dragons in.
Yeah.
You're going to love this answer because it's so dragony. Okay. Daryl, you're comparing us to food. We were eating dinosaurs. How did
Yeah,
you
I
think
know
we
that.
could
I know.
thrive? Right? Did we have that? No, 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 no. They were part of what you call a spectrum of animal beings on the
Right.
planet.
Well, they were second density beings, and then dragons were third density beings that elevated to the
Yes,
fourth density beings,
yes, but
right? So
that
just
was
like
who
us
we
eating
were eating.
animals.
That is
Yeah.
not who we were.
Okay, okay. Point well taken. I get what you're saying there. But yeah, okay, I get what you're
And
saying there.
your humans
Yeah,
were on the planet at this time
yeah,
in one of the, but not in the form you think.
yeah,
In fact, you were bipedal, and that was
yeah.
about it.
Yeah, I was just
Everything
saying
else,
mammals, right? We were mammals at that point.
yes,
Yeah,
yes. And you were not nearly as tasty.
yeah. I guess that's a good thing because that helped us evolve.
It is. It is. You think that, your culture does a lot of fear-based things of animals attacking, and sometimes that happens. But
Yeah,
for the most part, it goes way back. The genetic programming, stay away from humans. Don't
yeah,
taste good, aren't good.
yeah.
And this was by design to help bring this consciousness in because we knew that as dragons, we are beautiful, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah.
But for the experiment of the creation of high consciousness into physicality, we were limited. We could move into physical form, which was on the planet, but in doing so, you understand your veil of forgetfulness, right? You humans experience this, but that was by design for you. For us, it was moving into this density. We lost a lot of who we were. So then you did have a lot of large predator things, which were lower consciousness beings, which could have been dragons, but except they didn't have the consciousness.
This,
Now,
correct.
so this was
They
the,
were second density beings, as Ra would say.
yes, but we did this by mistake. We thought if we could just bring our density down and then we would be here, and it didn't work. So the human form was taken from the bipedal animals, the mammals, to try to create the vessel that could hold this consciousness. And this was the whole human experiment. We were here in the first age of the five. Okay, which is why you go all the way back to your dinosaurs. And the creation of the humanity at this time was quite nice, but it just suffered in the same way that we suffered when it tried to move more into the physical vessel and was just disconnected. And that's why we would basically use what you humans use, dumb animal. Now, uh, it's taken three intervening tries since then where the mix was not right. You had your Lemuria, and
Mhm.
this was so, so beautiful, so spirit, so connected. But you still missed out on the physicality part in many things because this it was tuned too far to that side.
Yes, I agree.
Now, then you went back and said, okay, we'll fix that. And you did your Atlantis and you went to the other
Anticide,
side.
decide.
And now, tie number five, here we
Yep,
are.
we're
So
at the
yes,
harvest.
yes. So this is indeed correct, dear Daryl. And yes, we were there. And it was that time. And it was us, but not us because we were not conscious when we incarnated at that level, just
Yeah.
like humans became less conscious. Now, you use human like it's a thing, and it is because you have two humans right here. But from our perspective, the soul of those humans, that is what is beautiful. Daryl, you know you were the Dragon Collective. You know you were Ra. You know you were much more. Peter, you know you were a Pleiadian. You were a Syrian and much more. Okay. It doesn't matter the exact lineage where you connect, where you come from. What matters is did you hold the consciousness to engage in coming into this physical body form to fulfill this experiment of what it is like to move from a density of consciousness into an expanded density and retain physicality so that you could experience at this level. And it's a beautiful achievement for all of us here. And it's going to be so many beautiful, as you say in your harvest example.
Mhm.
But this is not really what it was designed to be. This is those who were the pioneers and the explorers who wanted to find out, is it possible? And we come from all different lineages and collectives. Now that we've established what is possible as we come to fruition in this harvest, then multitudes of newer souls across many, many planets will get the experience of not having to go through five different sets of incarnations, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of lifetimes experiencing that. They can do it in a much more form that is elegant, quicker, deeper, larger results. So, yes, it's that difference that we have as a dragon to your dinosaur. It's going to be what it's like for all the new souls coming. They get to come in, not fully at the dragon level, but very soon move into that because of the blueprint being established here now.
Let me quickly ask, are the dragons having fun coming back into our dimension of Earth? Have they made their capital at Machu Picchu the way that I kind of communicated with them when I was there? They are coming into the human consciousness and I think manifesting into physical form soon. And I sense their presence. So can I hear the dragons talk about that?
So, yes, Daryl, the whole point of the Earth experiment was the fun, the physicality, the soaring, the flying, the feeling it with this consciousness. That was the whole point, was the fun.
Yeah.
And yes, it is totally fun. And no, it is not just Machu Picchu. Machu Picchu was only the start. So you in your linear terms call it capital. Yes, okay, sure, fine. But, we are in Europe, we are in the poles, we are in your Asia and your Australia and your America. That is all happening because more and more people are attuning that they are part of this collective or they are friends with this collective. Peter's not part of this collective, but he's our friend. And so we get to have an outpost in his area. So, yes, 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 this is the whole point, the fun that can be had. And oh my gosh, thank you for bringing this because that is what is really matters. You picture us in your stories with hordes of jewels and golds, and that's wonderful. But those are just memories of the fun we had
Yeah.
obtaining it.
Yes. Excellent. Well, I want to thank you guys all. I always have such fun and enjoyment whenever I communicate with you guys. So, uh, does anyone have a closing message? Yeah, I guess.
All
Last
right, I
word.
was starting to pull out. Let me pull back in.
Okay.
This is Peter again. I'm just like, Daryl, it's like, man, you bring me places. I get stretched when I do this kind of work with you. And it's kind of beautiful, but it's kind of like, what? Let's okay, body, let's integrate this now. All right, so back to the dragons. Love, love, love. You are so many of you are so focused and obsessed with this transition that is taking place and is this going right, and then you pay attention to your news and you go horror horror horror. Oh yes, this is what you do and you're missing it. It is the fun, it is the love of being here to have this diversity of experience. Even this vessel, Peter, moments ago was complaining what it was like to be this expanded. And yet now he's like, oh, this is what exhilaration is. Duh.
It's the fun of remembering.
Yes. So that is our closing message. You are so magnificent. And can you dance and sing and play, knowing that this is an act of love? And that love is then what creates the joy and the connection, all that you desire.
Beautiful. Well, thank you all. I just love you all.
They're saying back at you, but I pulled back into myself now.
Well, thank you, Peter. I always enjoy these. I mean, I get the vibration between us, and it's just a lot of fun for me. I just love expanding on knowledge and getting more information.
I'm honored, Daryl. You literally push my bounds. Every time I do a session with you, it's like, wow, I've gone someplace I never go before. And then I end up listening to the recording when you post them and go, wow, I said that. Because not me saying it, of course, right? But it's like, wow, I was holding that kind of wisdom for those moments. It's like, wow. So thank you, Daryl. Thank you for like trusting me enough and being with me to be able to do this.
Yeah. Well, gratitude and appreciation to you and Tracy.
Much love.
Bye.
Bye bye.